Do we want to do your choice?
Yep, I think we go right into athletics activities.
Great. And with us, we have our athletics director.
Both of these are
Activities.
extremely
Yeah.
learner centered. Yeah.
Perfect. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. And I apologize and you'll notice my speech isn't as, I don't know, proper as it should be. I might start drooling and stuff like that. But the reason I haven't been here is because I did have surgery. I have a jawbone problem. And so I'll do the best I can to articulate what I'm trying to tell you about kind of athletics and activities and go from there. I don't normally write things out, but because usually I can just speak really fluently, but so I've written a few things out, which isn't my thing, but we'll go from there. Couple of things. One, everybody's in talking about, where are we? And I just want everybody to remember how we got here. I did do a presentation when I spoke better in July, so if you ever want to flashback, but in 2019, I read an article by the NFHS, and I know Lisa doesn't like that. So the National Federation of High Schools, cool, that oversees everything from co-curriculars. And as I was preparing for the athletic director position, the article started out like this. There's a modern miracle at work in high schools across the country. Instructors and students arrive early and stay late, spending hours every week perfecting leadership and time management skills. As a result of these programs, students choose healthy behaviors like refraining from smoking and drinking, getting good nutrition, and exercising regularly. Their grades and attendance show noticeable improvements, as do their standardized test scores, college admissions rates, and chances for success in later life. What's more, these programs are being run at an incredible value, and they serve an amazing 10 million students nationwide. That's about half the student body. What are these programs? Extra study hall times, assemblies with celebrity motivational speakers? Hardly. These programs are co-curricular activities. When I got here, that was the key. We had just really athletics. We did have some other things. I did my research. I knew about Dungeons and Dragons and I knew about drama. But the goal here and what we've done, and when we talk about a budget, please remember, and Jen already used those words, all means all. And everything after school and some of the things that I run in school are about community. And we can read this mission statement as we always do, right? And I got it down, but it thrive in our communities, right? And we inspire. So I know when people are talking about it, that they say that it doesn't belong in the budget. Maybe it's a warrant article, or that's something you can cut. Across the country, these are the things, and I think Jen just said it too, and I'm following her, and I want to remind people, everybody learns differently. I hear all the time about AP courses or our test scores aren't there. We all learn different. We can all go on Google and IA and see people that didn't even graduate from high school that have had success, okay? What we're doing here, though, as far as co-curriculars, are really the hands-on experience that I think everybody should have. So I'm the activities director and not the athletic director, but I do oversee athletics. But it's for everybody, and that's kind of the shared thing, and I will talk about a little bit why we have a great community here, and why we were the high school of the year is the community that we've built. And that's what I believe is because everybody doesn't look around and say, I don't count. We all are seen. Everybody is seen. And when I say it, and I truly believe it, when it's about voice and students say it. So to provide a hands-on experience, expensive prep schools, and yes, I was a college coach forever, and parents would come in and say, oh, can my child have a scholarship because we've already paid for a prep school? Well, that was your choice, right? But they were getting the extra. And I've always remembered that, and I always see it but I was a public school person, so everything I do is always because, well, this is what I had the advantage of when I was at the school. So when we talk about mandating and those kind of things, prep schools always tell you about playing sports, but what we're trying to do here is give every kid an opportunity to find something. In fact, just recently I took a look at, because I've got new kids in my office and I had to take a look. We have 10 new students here at Chelmsford Conant Middle High School. 10, 2 are not in placement and 8 are here or out of placement and 8 are here. Of that 8 new kids to our district, 6 of them are highly, highly involved in either sports or activities. It is a welcoming mat for people to come here and be able to walk into my office and say, what do we have here? What can I do to build my new community? And when I talk about that, those same kids, I saw them on a Tuesday. Oh, that's right. There was no school on a Tuesday, but some of them were part of drama and some of them were part of robotics. And so their after school is about school too, right? So we all talk about it, and I know people laughed at me when we started Nintendo, but I'm always watching trends. And again, I always emphasize that esports, right, is at the college level. It's the highest way of getting a scholarship right now. But those are the kind of things that the students know they need and they ask for. And they're watching the trends too. But when kids come to our district, they need to have a place, and kids are finding that, and it's easy for them to ask. We've created the opportunities by allowing the students to use their voice. Just please remember that. So when we're talking about budgets and how much we're spending, we've got to remember, right, that I'm not sitting here and just saying, oh, we're going to do this. It's because students have asked. And that's what they need, because they probably need that hands-on learning that so many of us can get from extracurriculars. So we're building strong students and we're building the community. As I continue with this presentation, I also want to say, and I think that this is one of those things, I get it about budgets and taxes, but don't be influenced, okay, with co-curriculars because of the position of me. And I know that people are going to say that, but I hear people saying, well, this and that about people when they present up here, okay, they're just doing that because it's their job. No, I want this position, it doesn't matter who sits there, okay, to understand that it better be for all. And when you guys are doing the budget, it's all, it means all, okay? Not just to cut it and say, oh, but this is what we used to have and this is what worked for us. And you're going to see in a slide, and I'll bring it up, that's not really why we have co-curriculars. Back, 20 years ago, we've moved away, and we're the school of the year because we advanced those things, and a lot is because of co-curriculars. The why, I had this in my other slide presentation, right? For all of the right things and why everybody says and why those articles say that you have to have co-curriculars for everybody. But so remember that when we're talking. A few items early in my position as the activities: pickleball, lines, on the tennis court, we have a weight room. Just remember, these items are just about after school. They've also become part of the PE curriculum, right? So when we talk about budget and those kind of things and where these things fall, these things are also providing what I already said, right? It's already should be a part of the budget. But you know what? It came from other things in the co-curricular world, right, of things that were going to happen. You can flip the side. And here's it. And then we talk about testimonials and those kind of things. This fall, I had all the captains and some representatives of a lot of our fall sports with me. We were talking about fundraising, but we were also talking about our annual fundraiser for cancer that we do during our homecoming. And I said to all of them, you know, I know you're scared because I get the questions all the time that there might not be sports for you guys next year. And in your own words, just write it down. And I handed out a piece of paper to all of them, and they all had something to say, right? Some reflected just for me, right? It's important to me. Some reflected, like it's for everybody, and this is why. I've seen it, and I bet you they were saying, oh, I've seen it impact my friend who probably didn't say a peep. But now that she's involved on a team and she's a part of something, she has a voice, and nobody thought she could speak. So when you're reading these things and people can flash back, again, let's remember that this is from our students. We have a few more on these. But there's one particular, oh, can you hold on? They help us end up more like you. I thought that comment was funny. Like your generation, because it's so good. They keep hearing that. And I know that this district, and I know it's a problem when we talk about facilities that Ruben's going to talk about, but even 20 years ago, I think you couldn't find it, you couldn't get a new school. And now people are still saying, oh, this is still good enough. Okay, but that's fine. But what I'm trying to say, and when I bring that up, is co-curriculars and what it means, it's different now. You don't have to just play. I mean, we've all talked about it. We now brought back wrestling because that's what we've brought back. We brought volleyball to light, right? That we never had volleyball, but now we have a volleyball team because that's what girls wanted. And you'll see the numbers for middle school club volleyball. It's 26 kids. And what we've gone. When we talk about a budget, though, everything is going to ebb and flow. And we don't really have to go up in much, and we'll talk about that. It's really more about things that we can't control, like transportation costs or referees. So even with this, the other things that we've brought to light is Link Crew and Web. I want to talk about that because that's actually in the school. But what it really has brought to light is upperclassmen, so it's 8th graders helping 6th graders, it's juniors and seniors helping the 9th graders. And why do I bring that up? Because that is really our community involvement in saying, and in those link things and in web, it isn't just athletic run, it's just not the athletes, it's not just the smarter kids. It is an application, and it is a group of people that you would never have thought, if you looked around, that you'd have 32 link leaders that talk differently, look different, dress differently. But it's because they want to be there because they know that there's somebody like them in 9th grade that will need them. And what we do with these programs is say, hey, by the way, you're here. But also, they're all saying this, get involved. That's the first message. You don't feel comfortable here, school's not going well, okay, classes, you know what I did? I got involved. I'm a part of animation. I'm a part of art exploration. And so the Link Crew and the web help everybody right away. Again, our mission statement is always about community, and that creates these communities. They have a lot of fun with it. The freshmen especially, they have no idea what is happening, that juniors and seniors can be so nice to them. They're like, that's not right, right? We're supposed to be low people on the totem pole. You're not supposed to encourage us to work together and be a part of it, but that is what's happening. And that, again, I will tell you, is what's driving your co-curriculars too, because they want to be with those people. As I just said, on a day off, right? We still have got students in our building participating in co-curriculars. And you all know that, and on days off, we can all talk athletics always. You know, there's a Saturday, there's a Sunday. We'll be here next Friday after Thanksgiving. Jen's week might end Monday, Tuesday, 40 hours, but mine will continue. But that's how they want to be involved. So these are those things that I would say are the involvement in the school. We all know National Honor Society. They're always giving back. They just did food drives, those kind of things. And again, people want to be a part of it. And again, my web, where everybody belongs, it is allowing 6th graders to really feel comfortable. It merges that Jaffrey Ringe thing together because guess what? The web leaders, they've already figured out that they're friends. If they're from Jaffrey, they're friends with Ringe kids already. And it just demonstrates that everybody can be together and we can all be in it together. Here is that, when I talk about link, that's just some, and web, right? please remember that these students, these upperclassmen, juniors, seniors, and as well, again, I just said they're in the off days. These events, because they run orientation, they come in early during the summer. They do trainings to be better leaders, and they give of their time in the summer, right, to be a part of this. And all of this is kind of an application process too. So they apply for it, and there's reasons why they want to be part of Link and Web. That link picture up on the right, yeah, that is musical chairs, but that was our Halloween celebration the other day, just a couple of weeks ago, down in the bottom left. That is what happens. So every other week, they will go into the classroom for the sixth graders. The week before, we'll have gone over an activity so that they understand and become better leaders, our eighth graders, but then they go in and into the sixth grade class and they run mentoring, they run these activities and work with them. Then, like I said, with Link, we had a Halloween celebration. We do the same thing with the high school kids, but then on occasions, we get everyone together, right? The whole ninth grade class with the Link leaders, or the whole sixth grade class with the web leaders. And again, I want to reemphasize what I said. Remember, it's not about the adults right here, and it's about the students, right? It's student voice, what they want and what they want their community to look like. Again, we showed this. I think David also showed it. I showed it in July. We don't have record of it right now, right? But total incidents and how it's on the decline of making sure that there's a strong community and a sense of belonging. We all know in here, we want our test scores to go up. Kids are active, but it has to be helping in the classroom, right? And so we want things to be going well in the classroom. And of course, if there's a sense of pride, or a sixth grader just walked down the hallway and the eighth grader says, "Hey, how are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm a cool person in this community." No different than juniors and seniors talking to our ninth graders. And that's kind of where that's at. And again, all of that pushes for our after school. There was questions about that and how we've gotten here. Yes, every club, there's always what we're doing. You'll see our club numbers different. If a club isn't sustainable, we stop the club. Maybe we bring it back because some kids, on Mondays, the club tried to start, and on Mondays, everybody wants to be with Baking with Baker. So, but that's also down the whole time. I was in charge, and we can talk about the budget. We have the stipends. We increased our stipends at one point last year. We won't increase them now. Again, in our stipends, though, for co-curriculars, they're average. They're the state average, although even in our sports and athletics, we're slightly behind some of the major schools that we play against in Division III. Here are the numbers for the fall, kind of where this is just Conant Middle High School, but where everybody is at. Animation, art exploration, the baking, the cooking. And again, there's some clubs that started that we've postponed because the numbers weren't there. There's some that we are going to probably have to break into different groups. And all the time there's students with new ideas and those kind of things. When I talk about weight room, homework and tutoring, you probably say that, Heather, that's not yours. But when I first started here, I did hire people academically to make sure that, because I was hearing, that our athletes weren't doing as well as they should. The school has implemented it again, but these are all the things too, but that has been helped by late buses too. So I don't have the numbers. When I talk about weight room, open enrollment, again, we're not just talking that was for the student athletes. The weight room, 3 days a week, there's kids all the time, just waiting for the advisor to get down there. We all know it, and we talk about co-curriculars, and I already said it, right? It makes for healthy living. So even if you're not known as an athlete, we have people and students that want to be involved. And that is one of the benefits of the weight room. If anybody has ever gone into the weight room and the satisfaction you get of just feeling like you did something confident in yourself, certainly those are the kind of things. So those are other things that I don't have numbers for, But I think if you just walked around the hallways after school, you'd see the hustle and bustle. You don't just have to be on a field, but certainly our fields are full as well. These are our fall numbers, and I messed up the fall high school sports. I left out volleyball. Volleyball had 13. We had a varsity and a JV team, and I'm sorry I missed it because I put in volleyball club, probably because I was so excited that the numbers were incredible. And almost all of those girls asked to bring back volleyball club in the spring. Certainly we can't do it in the winter because, as everybody knows in this community, our gyms are full in the winter with basketball. So those are kind of our numbers. I want to just talk a little bit about the philosophy, and I know I get dinged on this, and I'll take it because it's our opinion or our philosophy. When I got here, that especially in middle school, we would not cut, okay? And I know that that's a problem and people keep talking about it, but boys soccer, for an example, there's 30 kids, and I've heard, hey, you know, the rec departments can handle things up till 6th grade. And I understand why people say, well, they can. But again, I stand here, I've listened to the students. 6th graders, not every 6th grader, not every 5th grader, 4th grader, or anybody can afford the rec department. And it's just a known fact. And it's just a known fact that not everybody has transportation. We had the boys soccer the other day, and one of the coaches said, hey, he is going to be a better soccer player because you know what? He makes sure he gets himself there. He's either walking or biking to practice to make sure he's there. Please note that he didn't get to play soccer before because he couldn't get there or wherever the soccer was being held, rec teams. And everyone, I just said it, every student, we see them all, we want them all to be here. We want them all to feel safe. We all want them to walk. The first day that every middle school student wore their jersey was incredible. The smiles on every one of them. And I'm sorry, and yes, I still have to do a better job. I don't know that, I'm supposed to be ordering medium youth. I didn't know that. Like, I don't know that as a thing. When 6th graders, I think that they're going to be at least a youth extra large, right? But it doesn't matter how big the uniform is or how small, not many of them are too small. They wear it with pride, and that's what they want. So I hear it. I know what people are saying. Heather, there has to be other options. I have to tell you, and I obviously have the support of our superintendent and our principals. No, we can have it here and we can make it work. And then people are going to say, but how about the budget? And I can talk about that, and we can define that, you know what? It's basically stayed the same on refs, maybe transportation, and I can tell you how we can do that. But again, it's the pride in what we're trying to do. And it's all of the benefits that kids are learning. Okay, the life lessons of good sportsmanship, citizenship are inherent in all of us, right? And that's what we want. And we also want, I said why we do this. We also want students to ask, why or what can I do? Do I want to do this? They'll put in the extra effort. They'll attend school to get started because they're a middle schooler and they want to be a part of the soccer program. And by the way, for the boys soccer, I created a schedule so we had two different, they practiced together, but they had two different schedules. The coaches, we used the same coaches, but there was an A team and a B team. Also with that, with the girls soccer, they had some 6th graders that weren't going to play as much. And I also created a co-ed schedule. So not only did they get to play, okay, they got to practice with their peers and everything, but everybody had an opportunity to still have success. And I know that's a question sometimes when we have numbers, well, my student won't get enough playing time. I am here to tell you that, yes, I will make a schedule. I will look at trends, who's coming up for 5th graders and those kind of things, and build schedules so that everybody has an opportunity. So again, I say that we had an A team for the girls. We had girls that weren't going to play as much with 19 on it. So they got to join a co-ed program with the boys that might not have played. And the boys had an A team and a B team. And we were highly successful in everybody's development. And again, everybody stayed with it, right? And that's all we want is retention, not retention only and co-curriculars, but also in the school. Then I've already mentioned that kids learn differently, and I think that having more athletics and more opportunities doesn't pigeonhole people, right? Like, please remember that too. Okay, when we're talking about a budget and, hey, it was just good enough to have this, every student still learns differently in their co-curricular opportunities as well, right? They're not all gonna love the same things. But some of them will find something, and some, as I always say about middle school, some will self-cut. I had put a testimonial up in July where somebody said basketball is not for me. I love my baking club, and by the way, I found out I'm really fast, so track is my sport. It is going to all change for young people, and as long as we keep providing them the opportunities to change, to try different things. Okay. I will just go with this. Co-curriculars, and I'm speaking on my own self. I'm standing here or sitting here and I'm talking and I have a mouthful of yuck in my mouth and I'm drinking liquid. So maybe that's affecting my brain. But I'll talk personally. I wouldn't be here. Yes, I'm the big athlete. Okay. But it gave me a voice too, right? So I can stand here and I think it's funny when we go to our awards and I'm always pushing students and I say, get up there, you got to speak, you got to speak. And I've always been able to speak, but as a young person, I couldn't speak. I was that shy person, but the athletics is what gave me the confidence that I can sit here and not worry and not get nervous. I've probably said 17 zillion stupid things, but I still want to say it because that's how I feel that I can. Okay. And that is what I hope for every one of our students as they come through. And I think it gives them that because they start small and they start in the animation or in art and art exploration and those kind of things, and they get to go there. So again, I don't have all the numbers, but what the trends look like, I didn't put them there. Our coaches do a wonderful thing. We don't, and I bring it up and sorry, but the rec department, I've asked 5 years ago and I always ask, but Rex, can you help with field hockey? Our numbers are declining. Can you help with swimming? Because swimming here used to be huge, but it was run through Jeffrey Rec in the summer, but it was all parents that were really involved in the swimming, right? But if we don't have these clubs here, then they will go by the wayside. Okay, because the rec departments can't just control all of these things, and they don't have it. And like I said with the volleyball, if we don't have a volleyball club in the middle school, okay, but I also want to tell you, middle school volleyball is becoming huge and other schools are going to have it. Okay, we did get invited to go to South Meadow this year. We just weren't ready for it, right? So we're right now not setting the trends so much, we're trying to catch up to the trends. Our students came to us, but again, we need to oversee this and we do need to give kids the opportunity to do different things. Okay. The other one is what we'll have in the spring already, the trends for that. We saw it last year. We will have more baseball. We'll probably have at least 2 baseball programs. I will do probably the same thing with baseball as we had to do with soccer. Softball will probably be the same way, and our other ones are all thriving. But at the middle school, again, just for pure numbers and where we're going with that. So there's kind of where I see it and what's moving and how we're moving in different directions. And certainly everybody can say, well, then Heather, you can go to the back and you should go back to no cut policies. I want to tell you, I have built this so that when everybody asks our budget, what we propose, you could slash it a little bit and those kind of things, but it's really right here. It doesn't really have to go up or down. It could stay stagnant for a couple of years. Why? Because I don't know, probably because I had a Polish grandmother who was so cheap, but very well, and I'm supposed to call her frugal, so I call myself frugal. One of the things that when people were complaining, I said, it's okay. If you look at our uniforms and you'll laugh, and I don't mind telling the budget people, and now the parents are going to look and be like, huh? For middle school, I have so many different variety of sizes. Okay, so with the soccer, are we buying new uniform? No, they're all similar. You'll see a V-neck here. If I don't have sizes for the boys, you know what? We steal from the girls. And do these young little boys, sixth grader? Nope, they don't care. They're putting on the shorts. They have no idea if they were cut for girls or cut for boys. They'll know in high school, but that's okay. They won't, that by then we're all set. I'll know the sizes. But everybody wants to say, so what do I have to do every year as far as buying uniforms? Really, it's just a handful. Ooh, those have been worn a long time. I can check roster numbers. You know what? Number 4 is a huge number. It's been worn 3 years in a row. You know what? Shh. And you know what? You're only shuffling out half dozen, right? Those kind of things. We're not here anymore, and this used to happen. I'm sorry to say it. Oh, we have to have the fancier. We look great. We look great. Nowadays, for the high school, I'm not going through a bucket and saying, oh no, JV, you get this because we don't want you to look like everybody looks the same, right? And you know what it does? It saves money. And when people swing down from the varsity to play on the JV, we still look like a team. When we get off a bus, we all look like Conant Athletics, okay? But also, why do we do it? Because it's a cost savings. It is, right? And so, do I love telling you that? But we have to pass a budget, because now young little boys, if they listen to me, they're gonna be like, Miss Lindstedt, did you really put me in girl shorts? So I don't really love to tell all the secrets in these kind of things, but I want to be very transparent. Okay? I am a product of my frugal grandmother, Polish grandmother. Okay? I'm not here to spend. I know how to save money, and I know what we're trying to do. And I will bring this up because, again, I've been always about making sure that I gave back and that the people behind me know how important I thought extracurriculars or co-curriculars were to me, even as a college coach. I at one point was handed a zero budget pretty much, and I handed a young lady, a college student, a stick. And she said, oh, I don't play enough. I don't get a stick. And this was a college student, and her parents were paying whatever the tuition was at the time. And again, I will tell you, please don't make it about me, but make sure that this position always says, no, I see you. Doesn't matter where you're at, you get the stick, okay? And don't tell if they didn't hear this, again, about the sizes and how we can finagle those kind of things. It is what we're going to do, but we are going to make every student feel special, because if they feel like they've been seen, they will have the success. And our test scores will go up. And what they bring to the community and what they bring to society and what they do with their lives will be better. And I know that there's a price tag. I get it. Okay, I get it. However, co-curriculars, again, need to be a part of this school. So I will say this, we have fundraising opportunities. I've just created some great opportunities, and everything works out. Working with Mike Cotton, but enhancing our sports. We are partnering with the National Federation of High School Sports. We will be live streaming our fall sports. We were always able to live stream our basketball. We will be able to do that. But we can get sponsors now that can do commercials. But what did that bring also? And you're saying, what did it do? Well, it enhanced our track and field, because now we have Wi-Fi down there. We also have landlines and there's systems down there, which was a safety thing for our PE to be down there. So we've enhanced those kind of things. So even though we might have spent money in athletics, we are actually helping the overall budget and the safety of our schools, and going from there. I will say this, in one of my old time goals, and then I saw Jen's thing and about transportation. I will say this, how do we make it better? We got to figure out how to buy small buses. I showed a picture of the Forum. That was a new club, the Forum, the other day. They went to the Granite State Challenge. I had to send them on a big bus. Then they had a chance to go for a practice up at Fall Mountain. And I said, hey, listen, we save a lot of money. I drive the bus from the Jaffrey Rec for golf, because that saves us a ton of money. I said, I'll take the students, so we'll borrow the bus from Jaffrey Rec, and so it reminds me that, you know, and we went up to Fall Mountain, and there were our kids in our pre-practice quiz bowl, and we crushed Fall Mountain. They will go into the play-in on December 14th, and again, this was a brand-new club coming out, and I brought it up in July, and actually Dante didn't bring it up, which I'm mad at him as a student rep on Monday, because he should have been talking about it, not me. He's supposed to use his student voice. But anyways, but these smaller buses would help athletics. It could help, I think, special ed with drivers and those kinds of things, because I'll drive the bus if I have to. But we can do all of these things, but I do think transportation, because I say that, that's the cost that's going up there. But if we had owned or rent smaller buses, we need to look at that. We can always, if people want to cut the budget, you can always play less games. You can do it at the high school level and still make the tournaments. That isn't a problem. And again, I already said how the purchase of uniforms really doesn't impact. I'm overseeing that. And as long as you don't give away my trade secrets, you know, we're going to be fine with that too. But I bet you on Monday, kids are going to say, Miss Lindstedt, what did you do to me? And so I know Ruben put this up before, and that is kind of where it's at. I do want to just bring up that one is the athletic trainer in 2022, and I pushed for the athletic trainer, but 2022, New Hampshire did pass a law that we are supposed to be CPR certified, and you are supposed to have somebody for grade 4s all the way up to grade 12 overseeing all of your co-curriculars. So I don't know the numbers. You would have to talk to Ruben or Carrie about that and what his salary might do to save money for the nurses, because the nurses, if they're out after co-curriculars and covering that, they would be obviously being paid overtime. Having somebody here, obviously, we talk about it. If we're going to be robust in co-curriculars, and it doesn't matter if it's drama and somebody's spraining their ankle, you should have somebody oversee. And so that is another reason why we really should have an athletic trainer or somebody that can be here. And our after-school day, please remember, our after-school day with practices could go as late as 7:30. And drama goes to 10 during tech week. Yes. It's right. So yes, it does cover those.
All right. Thank you, Heather.
Mhm.
It was wonderful. Thank you for that. All right. So, board, does anybody want to start off on questions or comments?
I'll start out with a quick comment. You mentioned this briefly, I think at the beginning of your presentation, and I just want to highlight this. You talked about some new students and being in your office and people in the audience and people listening at home to think about what it would be like to move to a new school, move to a new state, right? We actually do have a family friend that moved to our school district. And to come in high school or middle school and be on your own and not know anyone, and find out about all these clubs and sports and be able to meet your people. You are now settled in your community. You have friendly faces in the hallways at school. I don't know if there's a price tag to the benefit of that, but I think every person who's listening to this knows that that is huge in terms of a learner's mental health. So Heather, thank you so much for being here and for speaking so much when it may not have been comfortable for you. I guess a question that I have is, if a student is not, I just want to clarify that if a student does not attend our school, but they live in our community, do they have access to our clubs and sports?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Yep.
Do we have any idea? I know it's hard because maybe a student who doesn't go to our school might participate in 3 different sports or
Mhm.
this, but do you have any idea of a percentage of what that looks like?
Well, now that I have changed everything to final forms, yes,
Yes.
I could probably zip that right up for you. We did change, again, something that, again, just watching trends, things that were asked of me, for, and again, I'm going to apologize. I think you should sit in my office maybe and you could hear my brain, because I know not all of these things are mandated. I follow trends and to make sure that we're moving in the right direction and that I'm doing what's right by every one of our students and those kind of things, and parents. Why did I go to final forms? Because I was having students that weren't being able to participate, and what we were using as a registration platform was just really not user friendly for people that didn't have computers at home or laptops. So I moved to final forms in investigating that parents, because everybody has a cell phone, and what was the best system for students to be registered, and so that we can check to make sure that they have a physical on file if they have any. And so I moved everything to final forms because of those kind of things. Again, just listening to students who were coming in and wanting to do clubs or activities, and I was having to do a paper copy, right? A paper copy is not as safe, because me giving a paper copy to an advisor or me having it in my in a folder really isn't in the best interest of everybody. Right now, if we're just talking, we want to just talk athletics, or I could, sure, okay. So, I can't give you, like, right now, we have about 375 registered for middle school, high school. And if I take out the active kids, which we would consider here all the time, we have 40.
So 40 kids who might attend a different school or homeschool and come here for athletics specifically.
This is in athletic mode, yes. Co-curriculars. It might be the same, because they just could have maybe just created an account. I'm not sure, but I'm giving you the best estimate with a quick synopsis here.
So for me,
Yeah.
and I'm not in any way, shape, or form an educator, but I would think that having those kids come in, those learners come in who are not in our school during the day, have them come in and be involved in our programs, gives us an opportunity to check in with these families. I think, Chris, you've talked about this too, just the opportunity to put our eyes on these learners who are in different programs and include them in our broader community, our broader family. There is substantial value to that. Again, something that we can't put a dollar amount that I know of, but keeping our kids, our learners connected to athletes and theater goers, theater participants, or whatever, who might be in a different program during the school day, allows our community to be cohesive. And yeah.
Oh, I mean, I admit to everything, because I am an open book. I reached out to some of the homeschoolers that were 8th graders last year for girls basketball, because there seems to be a trend across the country and in the state of New Hampshire, and I wanted to know why they weren't playing in 9th grade. And some of them were homeschoolers, so I reached out to everybody. Some I could reach here. I could bring them in to me, right, and say, hey, why have you decided not to transition, right? Like, I want to watch these trends, and I want to help young women stay within, because again, co-curriculars, why are you not playing basketball in 9th grade? Like, we have a JV team. How is that going to work? And I don't mind sharing that I also reached out to those kids that were eighth graders. Two have changed their mind, I think probably because I reached out and are gonna try being on the JV team, and one mom who has a son here, but the daughter doesn't, is homeschooled, said, I tried everything, Heather, and it's just not for her at the next level, at the high school level. So I want you to realize that I really am not, this is our district, this is, you know what I mean? And I firmly believe that every person is better served if they have something else that is a hands-on experience, right? Of the ups and downs of competing in robotics or competing in a soccer game, right? I mean, it's the ups and downs, and it's a great learning tool for every kid. Thank you. Yep.
Anything further, Chris? Okay, John?
Ruben, can you get rid of that and like at least put some happy kids up there?
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So like this, like, oh, there we go.
There we
See, there's my Granite State kids getting ready, and look at all those soccer boys, and there's Interact, and yeah, go ahead.
I guess I'd like to say that did a nice job for somebody who's having a
Yeah.
problem talking. Did great. Does seem though that you're a little prejudiced in favor of athletics, because you have all these nice numbers up there on the fall high school sports and the middle school and the high school.
Trickle down to his,
Looks like 180 kids participated in high school and middle school sports in the fall.
you look, those numbers, yes,
Yeah.
you are correct.
Must be a lot more participate in the clubs.
I have those.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
where's my other ones? There
I don't know, the numbers just were, anyway. Um,
we go.
I mean, a couple of things jump out and I feel like I could go on, but I won't, I'll try not to. One of them is, you mentioned the after-school programs sometimes could go as late as 7:30 p.m. And
Or as Jen said, 10, when drama's in Tech Week, yes.
there you go. And what about weekends?
And that's what, yeah, we have weekends.
Yeah,
We have athletics that's go, robotics is here on Saturdays.
and I remember you sent a group of kids away for the week to Dominican Republic or something.
The Interact group is always here, 5:30 now on Thursdays.
So the reason I mention this is that, the cost is one of these things that, we all look at, but our typical school day is 7 hours, right? It goes from 7:15 or 7:30 in the morning till 2:30, let's say. And yet all this additional time that students are brought in and included after school for practices and games that they go to, they travel to, and then all the other things that they do in the evening and in the weekends. I mean, it just really extends the reach of the schools. And I have to say, my own students graduated a long time ago from Conan, but being involved in athletics did have a huge impact for them in terms of their academics. It seemed like the more time they put in with teams and clubs, the more involved in the school they were and the more willing they were to work hard at their academics. So
And you just brought it up, though, there's Interact, but I mean, they were just at the Cathedral of the Pines on a weekend cleaning, doing the cleanup, right? Our student athletes raise money for cancer. They are creating their own little communities, but they're always giving to the larger community. And I say that, though, John, the same with Link Crew and the web. They're learning that it really isn't just about themselves, right? They're learning that about themselves, that they always want to be giving, right? But you have to find that within yourself. And these clubs and opportunities and sports get you to realize that I am compassionate, right? I have empathy and I can do all these things. I mean, that's really what it's about, right? And if you don't, then you could walk away from it, right? But we are finding that. And I watch all these great students just do remarkable things, and they figured out who they are. And I think that that's the most hands-on experience can give them who we are. We can learn, we can be book smart, right? And that's what we're going to be. But who you really truly are comes from these things that you're a part of.
Yeah, thank you. I guess it's just one more thing I'd just like to mention, maybe ask you about.
Yep.
I know that you mentioned the rec departments and, learning how to increase partnerships with them. I know it's not easy. Sometimes there's issues that, we want the kids here, and of course the rec departments want them there, but having partnerships, I mean, we've been finding as a school board that improving partnerships with our towns, it's hard work for a lot of reasons, but it's pretty important. And when I hear you say that you were able to use a rec department bus, that's great,
Yep.
And this issue of having to have a no-cut policy, that's awesome too. And I understand there's some people who can come up with reasons, and they're rational reasons why they object, but I mean, I think you're doing the right thing and congratulate you for that. And again, I hope that the working at improving the partnerships with the rec departments and with the towns, that we can continue working on that, because it is hard. It's hard. There's different reasons why it's hard, but it's worth it, worth the effort. So thank you.
Cindy?
Well, thank you, Heather, for doing that. It was a good report. And I think all these things are valuable. I'm a little bit surprised because I felt like transportation was the bigger cost of this, not the club advisor coaches. I mean, you pay somebody $250 to be a coach or a class advisor for this. I thought the transportation would be bigger.
As far as the budget?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all these teams going to all these games with this no cut. We've got more and more teams, which is nice. Nobody's cut off like in my day and age. But I'm just surprised. I thought transportation would be more.
We can go over the number, but clubs and advisors, keep in mind, and coaches, and that's just at the middle school too. That's for the district as well. Right? So what the grade schools are
But
doing.
is it transportation for the district, or is that just the high school level?
The transportation is the only real teams that we transport would be here at the middle school, high school.
Yeah, I'm just
Like clubs and, you know what I mean?
yeah, I was just
So-
surprised at that.
And I can reevaluate it immediately.
Okay.
Chris?
Yeah, so I do the manifest. I'm responsible for signing up on the manifest, and I'll look at transportation and go, oh,
Yeah. Yep.
It's expensive.
yeah, it's very expensive. John does it for me when I don't do it, so.
And that's, and right, I think and I said we could save costs if we look kind of into the smaller buses and those. kind of-
Yeah.
Yep.
Chris?
Thank you, Heather. I think you captured to me pretty accurately, what the experience is here, certainly at the middle high school with activities and athletics and the real philosophy of it. I've been lucky enough to have my kids participate in it and participate in it myself. And I can see, and I'll speak to the middle school thing first. One thing that you didn't mention that people should understand, and I think is even, I've seen the bigger benefit of it, is that you see all these different athletics and clubs, and kids can do both even, right? So a kid can do the field hockey team and they can do the baking club, things like that. And although coaches may not be that happy about it sometime, right? I think middle school is the time for that. And I think you could see not only the kid find, their passion, their connection with the school. I think that's what we're really looking for, like they're people at the school. But it also is an opportunity for them to learn to manage that, right? I know what a lot of us do is say, well, if you want to do that, that's another responsibility. So there's a life skill there in, communicating with your coaches, with your advisors, when you're going to be there, and your parents, and just kind of managing that. So I think that's been a great thing there. Speaking to the stuff, and I guess before we get into the costs, I'll say and I know we spoke about this last time, if this is going to go on a warrant article, Scott, it's not decided. Expect a lot of scrutiny, I think, if you're gonna, normally it goes in with a larger budget. I think if you're gonna present something on a separate warrant article, we should be prepared and understand every line item, right? It's gonna get the fine tooth comb treatment, right? The newspaper article is gonna have a special section on that versus, typically when it's melded in with the overall budget. And, I'm fine with that. I just think the board should be aware of that, and we should dive into the numbers on that. To John's point, I think when you start looking at, I always, tend to look at this as like the cost benefit sort of analysis. And I think that was John was getting to all of that time after school. And I'll say that I've been back to the school coaching middle school sports like past midnight. It happens, right? At the track meet up in Vermont or whatever it is. I don't know what time it is. There's been plenty of times when I've been back here, that late. And if you look at the overall cost of the program, and I think we should go through it. And I think we should,
Yep.
Do our due diligence as we go through this and, discuss it, understand it, see if there are areas where we can maybe find extra money. But if you look at the overall cost, right, our budget is 30 million-ish. This budget is 600,000-ish. That's, less than 2% of our budget. So if you're looking to save a ton of money, maybe there's something there, but you're talking about, less than 2% of our overall budget that you're looking to cut for all this benefit that I think, I'm totally on board with all of those things. And again, I've seen it with my kids, with myself, understand kind of the overall benefits of it. Knowing that, we may not produce professional basketball players and soccer players and actors, we may, right?
Yeah.
But to me, that's not the important part. It's the feeling of inclusion at school and those other skills that you develop. Because let's face it, kids aren't gonna like school all the time, right? I don't even kids that do really well in school. If you talk to them, they'll be like, yeah, how's school today? Yeah,
I think that it's one of the testimonials. That's
it
up
was
there.
all right, right? And that's natural. Not everyone is gonna like school, but I'll tell you what happens from experience. If they end their day at the school, at the school after participating in a club or an athletic event, if you ask them how their day was, whatever sort of struggle they had at school is often washed away and they remember that last thing. I think it's super important. And then they come, they're ready to go the next day.
I think at the top, there's one that says that, right? Athletics has helped kids' mental health and physical, kids moving it.
Yeah,
Get out of
there's
the-
so many benefits.
Get out of the school only mindset, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And I'll say that since I do coach and I'm aware of the stipends and school board, I kind of keep I estimate how much, because I think we should look at it, right? We could see what the numbers really are for
Yep.
sure. And, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll take a position that has stipend for one, and it's really difficult, I'll say, to coach some of these sports with just one, especially at the middle school. So what we do is we'll split it up. Maybe not even take the stipend, but regardless, I do keep track of about how much a coach makes, because I spend the hours myself, so I know what it is. And, between track and field, I did it last year and this year with field hockey. I'll say that it's you know, at least my experience, what I've done is like about $5 to $7 an hour
Mhm.
is the reality of it between like what you put in for it. So, you know, people aren't doing it for the money. I don't think, you know, raising that stipend is probably not going to help you attract more coaches, but just understand that for the coaches that are, you know, really putting in the time, it's not about that money. And it's more than just, you know, an hour-long practice a day. It is that like, oh, we're gonna leave at like 1 o'clock for the track meet that's 2 hours away in Vermont, and we get back at midnight, and that, you know, those things happen.
Anything further, Chris?
Yes. Oh, well, a little bit kind of the financials on these extra teams, right? I'll call them extra teams just because that's probably not the right word for it, but that's what I wrote here. You're like the B team, the C team, right?
Mhm.
It's costing us money. Because I've heard people come to me and I say that, right? They're like, we're spending, you know, all of this money on these teams because of the no cut policy.
Mhm.
And that's true. We do spend more money on the teams because of the no cut policy. But if I just look at it with, again, with my understanding of the teams and, you know, our finances, I look at it. So let's take a, you know, a B or a C team. You're going to spend, I don't know what the stipend is. I'll say it's like $1,200, $1,500, maybe at the most, for the season. And transportation, which may be combined with another team, right? Because we do that a lot.
Mhm.
And by the way, we travel with Messinic sometimes.
Yep.
We do all of these things to save money.
I do.
Right? We
Yep.
do. We combine buses. Kids don't like it. We do it anyways
We do it anyways.
because
I do.
it makes sense. But just take like the worst case scenario and that you're paying a coach $1,500. And you have 6 away games. You're not sharing any of that between the girls and boys, which we would do pretty much all the time. So you could probably cut that number in half. But like, it's like $7,500. I do that out. Even if you're saying it costs $1,000 to go to a game, which is really high, it's probably only be half of that because you're going to split it between 2 teams. But we're really talking about like an actual cost of the district, and we can figure this out in my math. It's like, you know, $5,000, $7,500. I don't know.
Yeah, and
And again, for the benefit of having that experience for, you know, well, 15 kids, those hours. Anyways, that's just kind of like when I start looking at the numbers, the math, I think the benefit is well worth the cost, and we'll look to reduce the cost as much as possible, but we have to have it in the budget.
and again, I gather, and I have no problem. I think you're right. I can break down, like you did, Chris, every team and how it is. But, and we could tell you how much a coach is making or an advisor, because now we pay them every 2 weeks. So I thought I'd lose some advisors and coaches when they see their paycheck. They used to just get the lump sum at the end, and now they look and they're like, oh, I made a whopping $18 this week. But again, I'm watching trends in those kind of things. I will bring up middle school boys soccer because people weren't sure, and I got the, oh my God. And I have to be very honest. I got our old varsity coach to come back because and I paid one stipend to him. He recruited his daughter to be the assistant, and they had 30 kids. And I'm going to say it again, but I made the schedule so that he could coach both the A and the B. So one salary coaching, one stipend coaching 30 kids, but every student, right, everybody that was on that team had an opportunity to participate in games. So I created an A schedule, a B schedule, and a co-ed schedule. So again, the student still got it. So I know people say, oh, but my kid will never get off the bench, or are they only going to get to play 2 minutes? No, we created an opportunity. I did, in finding those teams and how we can do it. And I do try to always balance, like, is it a local game, or do we bring some of the further away teams because they're paying the transportation and we're only paying for the officials? So again, I try to make sure that that we're doing those kind of things in a fiscally responsible way when we have those kind of numbers, but still that a student athlete or anybody doesn't look and say, well, it wasn't fun because I didn't get to play. We are trying to do everything possible for the retention as well, right? So that they do have the opportunity to figure it out. And I'm going to say this, and I know this isn't always popular, but please remember, the best way to have the best at the end of the day is competition, and numbers drive competition. Doesn't matter if you're in middle school. If there's 30 kids, then there's 30, I have to beat out 29. It will always help a student have more competition than less. If you're given a job, how good are you sometimes at your job if you have no competition? Right? So we could have 12 kids on a soccer team and 11 play. And what have we learned? What have those students learned?
Thank you. Chris, do you have anything further? Charlie, do you have anything for Heather?
Not from a budget perspective, just a couple comments. One is, have we ever posted the GPAs of the fall teams or any of the teams? Because I've seen a posting where when you list the teams, you'd find out that most of the GPAs are 3.0 and above. So that might be one way of advertising the academics importance of sport of co-curricular. Sorry, I got problems with my mouth too. Let's see. Well, the other thing I wanted to say is this probably might not be the appropriate place to say it, is I think that Heather has positioned us quite well for open enrollment. I think that what she's done has been very valuable to parents and students alike, learners alike. And I think she's been an asset to prepare us for this kind of a situation. I'll talk more about that later. That's all I have.
And to jump onto what you said about GPAs, Charlie, also getting data on attendance. I'm imagining that student attendance certainly goes up the more people we have in activities. And that's really valuable data as well. For me, I would like to say well done and incredibly done with the level of work that you've had to have on your jaw. But I also want to just chime in on one small piece. You said you have administrative support for the open enrollment for the athletics and activities. And you also need to know that you have full board support as well. This is not your program. This is our program. You have full board support. We've always talked about how powerful your programming is, and your abilities are exceptional in this. And we are completely aligned with the all in, everybody for everybody. This is, we serve all students. And thank you for constantly keeping that to the forefront of our mission. And the board does support you in this. And so I want you to know that.
Say one thing before we take a break.
Yes, please.
Yep, just it's going to be a segue so that when you take a break, you come back.
And we're not ready to, because we have public comments.
We have public comments, so even better, right? So out of those 40 individuals, because you switched over to final forms, Leslie's been able to track the data a little bit more. We've been able to find out where these students are coming from and so forth. So 40, I don't, that sounds about right from what I looked at the other day. We were able to also locate that 12 to 16 of them, a couple of them we're looking into a little bit further, are also not considered homeschooled learners anymore because they have chosen to take education freedom accounts, EFAs. And so the board, it's just one portion of this conversation that we'll talk about around open enrollment, which is of course extremely supported by this a very excellent programming that we have. That's going to be very important. So and essential to being successful and being able to draw funds in to help support the more revenue for this community. we can do that through EFAs as well. Matter of fact, it is expected that we we're going to be Heather is going to be putting together costs per learner for different athletics and clubs, so that when people who register, who do receive those vouchers, that they are then they will understand that they will be paying a cost to the program in order to participate, because they are by law not homeschoolers anymore. Actually, some of them are homeschoolers, some of them are private school learners, but they are EFA recipients.
Okay,
So can I
complicated.
just clarify on that?
Mhm.
The family would be paying to play? Or would that be,
If a child registers and receives, we have a database of all individuals who receive education freedom account money. And so if they choose to do that, they are not considered homeschooled learners by the state of New Hampshire. They're if they're homeschooled. Some of them are private schooled in this area, so they come to play here as well if their school doesn't have teams, and so they come. If they are EFA recipients, not only I assume they're using that for their school, their education during the day, they are to use it over here for their extracurricular co-curriculars as well. Certainly not at the cost of the normal, like a normal school day, but there's a reasonable price for that. So if you have, for instance, 10, 16, 20 individuals who are recipients of those types of funds, and they pay $200 per activity that they are involved in, athletics, that would make sense. That's probably a low figure. That's, paying for one of your coaches.
Ruben, is that something that the board will have to wrestle with at some point?
The board's going to have to make policy around, I mean, we can do it now if we would want to without policy, because there's other language that has been sent out from the Department of Education, but on this topic, but it's something that the policy committee is going to need to wrestle with around EFAs, make it very clear, because we should communicate this out. It should not be a surprise to people. And then also within the open enrollment policies that we would develop, should the board choose to go in that direction. And so the community, if the board were to put it on a warrant article, should the community choose to go in that direction.
can I, I'm sorry, I have another question.
Yeah.
Because this was just brought up, we know that our learners
Mhm.
have to have a certain GPA to participate in activities,
Yes.
in clubs. Students who come in from other educational settings, do we collect that GPA information?
We do. They have to provide us transcripts or some form of information that would show that they are in good standing academically.
With, David has to approve them all. We have to submit all eligibility to the NHIAA per season. And again, with final form, so they should always be attaching the document. We need a transcript of their last quarter, just like what we check on our students, right? That's easy, but we have all of that, yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I do want to clarify, currently for the 25-26 school year, we are not charging a fee in alignment with the education freedom account funding, correct? This is something you're thinking in the future. The Department of Education has said this is a possibility. Is that what you're saying?
Well, certainly we would like, I would like, what I would suggest is that would start in the spring, that we send information out to individuals who have been taking part, who do have received EFAs, to let them know of that, so that they have time to understand, and that it won't be a shock when the bills are sent out in the spring. Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Lisa,
so that's coming. Okay.
if I could, yeah, I think at our next, we should probably look at this at our next policy meeting. I know that and I can help with that, but I think regardless of whether we decide to charge, don't charge, right, that's
Mhm.
or how much, that's a decision that we'll have to make, but we do need a policy on it.
Yeah.
You know.
No, let's
this
take a
will
look at
probably
that
be-
too. Add it to the growing list for
Yeah.
December 4th,
Right,
4:30
that's-
PM.
It's been it's a changing landscape, right? We've known for a while, and some schools do, right? There's some local schools.
Yes, already
that
do.
Already do, we've chosen not to. But we've never had a policy on it, so regardless of if it's yes or no. it's-
Okay.
Add it to the list of things that we need to talk about.
Good. Charlie, do you have anything to add to this piece of the conversation?
No,
Okay, good. All right, then we will open up to public comments related to activities and athletics. And we'll go. Wait, remember?
Pat Martin from Ringe. I just wonder if, if there's thought that you're going to do athletics and co-curriculars as a warrant article, if it's ill-advised to spring on people that they're going to be paying for athletics and co-curriculars, especially in the spring before the vote. It might irritate people and might cause them to vote against that warrant article. I've had a good feeling that if you did athletics and co-curriculars, that it would pass, that the community would support that. But if you throw them having to pay fees at it, it might stir up a hornet's nest of resentment. Just my thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to keep under consideration. Anything further from the community in person? Okay, any messages online? Okay,
I thought the only person who's gonna pay fees were the ones that get the vouchers.
well, hang on, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll continue that.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah, we'll do it another time, yeah. So we've been here 3 hours and I'm very, very grateful for the board and the community for staying and engaging with this. I would hate to lose people for the next part. At this point in our meetings about the next year's budget, we're seeing a lot of keeping things as static as possible to sustain what we have. I think in our next session, not to give any spoilers, but there are some changes. And so it really will be important for people to stick through the next piece of it as much as possible. So thank you for these 3 hours. We are going to take a 5-minute recess. Is that enough time? 10-minute recess. We're going to take a 10-minute recess and then we are going to start back in on the SAU proposals.